Hi, so mates, welcome to another class. So in today's class, we are going to learn how to make Asooke pencil skirt, boys mini skirt. So I'm using this very beautiful Asooke. This is one bundle. I'm not using all. There's gele inside, and there's that other one that they call it Billy. What's the name? It's inside. So that's what I'm using. And the person I'm sewing for is very slim. So for Ashoke, if you want to draft, please make sure you fold your pattern paper. Don't cut it half scale. Fold it so that by the time you open it, the front will be full. Do you understand what I mean? Normally when we are drafting, we used to draft half scale. Please draft it full scale. So that's what I'm doing now. So the first thing I want to do, I've already measured 1 inch. That will serve as my borderline. So now I'm not going to impute the measurement. So this skirt is very short. You can make yours long, but she specifically asked for a very short skirt. So I'm making it, the length of the skirt is 20. Do you understand? So I'm just going to mark the 20 and just roll across. So now that I've rolled across, I'm going to mark it. So this will be our full length. Do you understand? So now, if you've not watched how I did a calculation of how you can separate your front hip and your back hip, because there's no hip in front, so you can't divide your hips divided by four. The only thing you're dividing by four in a skirt is the waist, but the hip you are not dividing by four, and the upper hip you are not dividing by four. I'm going to make link the video of how I explained it in details. It will be in the comment section. So I've gone ahead to just measure my waist measurement, then the upper hips and the lower hip. For the upper hip is from the waist to 5 inches. You measure it on your client's body. She's quite tall. And from the waist to hip line is 8 inches. So I'm just marking it. I'm going to link that video that I'm talking about in the comment section. So I'm just going to impute my measurement for the upper hip. So the upper hip measurement is 9 inches. And I'm adding extra 2 inch for sewing allowance. So the lower hip for the front lower hip is 9.5 inches. Just trying to cross check. So the front lower hip is 9.5 inches. I'm going to impute it. I'm also going to add extra 2 inch. So now for the full length, I'm going to minus 1.5 from it to get this curvy shape. So I'm going to measure 8, then I'll add extra 2 inch to make it 10. So I've added my allowance. Then the waistline, her waist is 28. That's divided by 4, that's 7, and I added extra 2 inch. So I'm just going to take my hip curve now and just curve all the lines that I measured now. I'm going to curve it. Please, if you not watch that video, it's very important you watch. If you watch it, you won't be having issues with shaping of your skirt pattern or even your bustier. So it's very good. I'm going to put a link to be in the comment section. So I'm just going to link all the lines together, and we are basically done with the front pattern. With this method, you don't need that. So now you know that I want the length to be long so that we'll be able to turn in the lining. So I'm going to add extra 2 inch so that it will be long. Do you understand? I'm going to add extra 2 inches. So I'm just going to mark it, then just roll it across. So that extra 2 inches will be what I will use to turn the lining in. So the lining will not be coming out. So it's 10 inches. I'm just going to transfer the exact measurement. I'm going to transfer it down, which is 10 inches. I will blend my lines once more and just cut everything out. So we are basically done with the front pattern. So now I will just cut it out. So when I was cutting it, I added half inch on top for the um allowance for sewing. So make sure you add half inch. So now I've already placed the front pattern on another fresh pattern paper, but that one now is on half scale because I can use both sides for the back since there is zipper. So what I want to do, I want to extend the upper hip line, the hip line, and the length. I'm doing it at the midpoint. Do you understand? Not the side or the midpoint. So I'm going to add extra 1 inch on the upper hip line, the hips, and I'll curve it into the full length of the skirt. Please note where I'm doing it. I'm not doing it at the sides. I'm doing it at the midpoint, from the midpoint of the front pattern. Good. If you've watched that video, this one will be very easy for you to understand. And if you practice it, you come back and testify. So I'm just going to link it to the waistline. So the only place where I'm going to added 1 inch is the hip and the upper hip, because I told you the back hip is usually bigger than the front hip. So from that new line now, I'm not going to measure my zipper allowance. So whatever zipper allowance you are using, you are going to use from that new line. I'm using 1.5, so I'm just marking 1.5, and we are basically done with the back pattern. The sides are the same, so the only difference is the center back. That's where you have this curve to make room for your bum. So please, that's just it. If you watch that video, like I said, this one, it will be very easy for you to do, and you won't be bothering about putting that in your skirt, because the skirt will already be shapely. We've already created room for the bum at the back side. So that's what I'm doing now. Just connect all the dots together, all the lines together. Then I can now cut out the back pattern. So all I have to do now is to just cut out the pattern for the back, and we are done. So when I'm doing, after doing that, I will just indicate the zipper allowance. It's very important. If not, you'll be confused because both sides have curve. So now I'm going to take my ashoke. How will you cut out your ashoke? Measure the length of your skirt and add at least 5 or 6 inches, because ashoke phrase. So the length of your skirt, you can measure half or 6 inches. Add it. That will be the length of the ashoke. So you are now going to calculate your hip, the width of your hip. You are going to calculate it. Then you are now going to measure the ashoke. Each ashoke is 7 inches. So if you calculate your hip width, you are now going to know how many ashoke you will cut with that length, that the particular length that you got, that will give you your whole width of your um hip. Make sure you add allowance of at least 5 inches. So now I've measured it. I've gotten the, the full length of the skirt was 20 inches plus allowance of 2 inches. That's 22 inches. I added the extra 5 inches, so I'm cutting 27 inches now. So I'm going to cut 27 inches with the same length, 9 different places. Do you understand? So I'm going to cut it. So after cutting it now, this is how it looks. So I'm just going to place the ashoke together and top stitch on it, and top stitch on the other side, and join it. So I'm joining the 9 pieces together. So let me go and join it now, show you how it looks after I've joined it. I hope you understand what I'm doing. So now that I've joined it now, this is how it's looking. You can see I've formed a very long fabric, and the length is okay for me. So even if it frays, it will still be okay for me. So now all I have to do now is to now place my front pattern first. Meanwhile, if you want to cut ashoke, it's either you do one or two things. Either you put your, maybe a condensed scissors you are not using again, put it on top of gas. So when it's hot, you use it to cut the ashoke, or you use soldering iron. In this instance, I'm using very hot scissors. I'm doing this because as I'm cutting it, it's sealing up the edge of the ashoke, so it will not fray. If you don't do that, your pattern will reduce. It's like if you cause wahala for yourself, your pattern will reduce because the ashoke will be losing. But since I've used hot scissors, if you see the edge, as I'm cutting it, it's burning the edge, so it's kind of stiff. So I'll do the same for the back pattern. So when you are cutting the back pattern, please note, immediately you finish cutting it, make sure you notch the zipper side. It's very important to do that. If not, you make mistake because the two sides have off. So the zipper side, make sure you notch it. And when you are cutting the back pattern, cut it separately. Don't cut it together. If not, you will seal it up because you are using a hot scissors. So you cut it separately. So now that I've done that for the first side, all I have to do now is now so that I won't make mistake. Note what I'm doing here. I will just turn my pattern to the other side. So I won't cut two left side or two right side. I will just turn my pattern to the other side. Do you understand? Can you see it? So you turn it now. Good. So after turning it, I can now cut out the other side. And I'll note that immediately I finish cutting, I will not where my zipper allowance is immediately. So that will indicate for me that okay, this is the zipper side and the other side is the hip line. Then for your front pattern, make sure you notch the topmost part so you will not mistake it from the down part. So after notching it now, the patterns are ready. You notice that it's not losing because I use hot scissors. So either you use soldering iron or hot scissors and you are good to go. Can you see it? I've notched the upper part of the front so I can know. So now I want to cut lining. All I have to do again is to place the back pattern, the front pattern on the back pattern, and cut out that 2 inch allowance we left earlier. I said we want to use it to turn in so that the lining will not be showing. So I will cut it out. So that means the ashoke is longer than the lining by 2 inches. So just cut it out. So you're now going to use this pattern now to cut lining. Do you understand? So now that I've cut the lining now, so this is how it's looking. Make sure you notch it. The way you notch for the front, notch it too. So you're now going to place the front lining on the ashoke and sew from the down. First of all, sew the down. sew the upper side and sew the side. Let me sew it and come and show you what I'm saying. So now see what I did for the front. I first of all sew the down by half an inch. I sew the up closed. I sew one side half an inch, then the other side I sew it, but I didn't finish sewing it. I left a space. That's what I will use to turn in the skirt. I'm going to do the same for the other patterns. Can you see it? So for the other pattern, the back pattern, make sure when you are, the opening should be the zipper side, so that you will know that this is the zipper side. Make sure the opening for the two side, make sure it's the zipper side. Can you see it? So I know that where I opened is the zipper side. So after I'm done, I'm going to turn it in now and show you how it's looking. So calm down and turn it in. Meanwhile, I forgot to tell you people, when you are doing ashoke, make sure you add st. Make sure you add st when you are doing ashoke, because I iron st to the lining, to the ashoke itself. And if you want, you can also add hairstay to the lining, but make sure it's very important to add hairstay to the ashoke. So I did that on my own. I guess I skipped explaining. So now that I've turned it in and out, so you calm down. Make sure you put in your scissors. So just make sure all the pointy play parts are well pointed. Then you iron it. So you see that opening now, you just fold it in by half an inch. You fold it in by half an inch and top stitch on it to close it. If you do that for the back, that top part you top stitch will indicate to you that okay, this is the zipper side. So when you are closing up the zipper, you won't be confused. So that's what I did. You do the same for the front part and they are done. So now let's close it up. So I'm going to measure from the waist to the upper hip 5 inches, from the waist to the hip line 8 inches, and this is the front. I'm just going to measure in my waist measurement, waist divided by 4, 7 inches. Front front upper hips is 9 inches. I'll measure it. Front hip itself 9.5 inches. Then I'm going to mark whatever is remaining, whatever allowance is remaining from the hip part. I got 1.25, so that's what I'm going to use to mark the remaining part. I'll just mark it back. I'll maintain that 1.25. I didn't know the camera is not showing, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. So I'll just mark it now. So it's showing now. So I'll just mark it now. So I'm going to do the same for the other side too. Going to do the same for the other side. I will measure from my waist. I'm doing it again so that you can see, because the camera was not showing earlier. From waist to the upper hip 5 inches, waist to hip 8 inches. Hmm? So you're going to measure your hip divided by 4. Front upper hips 9 inches. Front hips sef 9.5. The remaining allowance, if you measure it, is 1.25. Some, and you mark it. So you just maintain that 1.25 down and you just link everything together. So now since we have done for the back, let's do the front now. The skirt is very simple to make. It will not take you much time. So now let's do for the front pattern now. For the back pattern rather. So this is the back pattern. So if you top stitch on the zipper line like I told you, you will not have issues. You will know that okay, where I top stitch is the zipper line, because the two sides are looking the same because it's curvy. So you now have issues. So the first thing you want to do is to take out your zipper allowance. You know, when we're drafting, we added 1.5 for zipper allowance, and we've used half to turn in this fabric. So it's remaining 1 inch. So you are going to mark the 1 inch from top to down. Anything I do for this side, I'm going to do for the other side likewise. So I'm just going to mark it gently. So just don't rush, because it's a curvy part. Don't rush. Just mark your 1 inch. Link it. At this point, if you've not subscribed to my channel, kindly do, and make sure you like this video. So now I'm going to, on the down part, I'm using 3.5 for the opening, the opening, because it's a short skirt already, so the opening doesn't have to be long. So now I'm going to mark where my zipper will stop. I'm using a quite a long zipper so that it will be easy for her to wear. So I'm from the waist now, go down by 5 inches, which act as my upper hips for the back upper hips. Then back hips. I'll just mark it. And since I've been shouting upper hip, upper hip, upper hip, If you've not watched my video of how to take proper measurements, please, I will link it also. Any video that I know that will be relevant to you in this class, I will link it so you can go and watch it so you'll not be confused. What was this woman saying? So I've done it now. I've measured my zip, your waist measurement. Back upper hip is 10 inches. If you notice, front upper hip was 9, back upper hip is 10, back hip is 10 and a half. So I'm just going to connect it together. Do you see it? So I'm going to measure the remaining allowance. So the remaining allowance is also 1.25 like the front. So I'm just marking it down. Whatever I do for this side, I'm going to replicate it to the other side. So now I've pinned it. Now it's time for me to sew it, put in my zipper, and we're done. So this is how our skirt is looking. So next class, I'm going to teach you how I did the top for this skirt. Bye.